We are Steve and Jill. Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. I'm Steve and Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill DeWit, and this is the Land Academy Show.
This week, we are talking about all 5 days, actually, buying and reselling a piece of property from start to finish in as much detail as we can in this 15-minute episode per day format.
Pretty much our whole business model.
Yeah.
Start to finish.
Yep. Today we're talking specifically about setting your land acquisition criteria and then finding places to send mail, because we don't make guesses here.
You know, it all starts with this. This is so important. I've heard you say that many times. I've asked you, okay, what is it? What do you think is the number one thing people need to focus on right now? And it's like they just need to buy great property in the great areas, period. If you can't figure out that'll sink the ship.
Yeah, I mean, you need to identify places in the country where it makes sense to send mail.
And it changes all the time. And it could be for, events that you didn't plan on, like storms and hurricanes. I mean, seriously, I just dawned on me as we're recording this. It's early October and the second hurricane hasn't hit yet. I know a lot of people that do a lot of deals in Florida.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, that's really going to impact that.
It is. How much are they holding on to right now that they're like, oh, you know? Yep. And people that are making payments on them, and they're going to be like, oh, maybe that wasn't the best thing, because why would they pay on something that they're never going to be able to use at this point?
Yeah. Puts a damper on the investment world for sure.
It does.
Hey, here's the layout for the 5 days this week. Monday, today, as we mentioned, we're going to talk about setting your actual acquisition criteria, know how much money you want to make, and then finding places to send mail, like Joe was alluding to here. On Tuesday, we're going to talk about pricing and sending out your mailer. On Wednesday, we can call it Magical Wednesday. We're creating, that's where Jill steps in. She creates a land deal where there was none. And she does that by answering the phone and talking to sellers. Thursday, we're going to talk about buying the property. And Friday, we're going to talk about reselling it. Each day on the show, we answer a question from our Land Academy member Discord forum, and we take a deep dive into land-related topics by your request. Let's take a question, Joe.
Okay, Lori wrote, hello, Land Academy family. My husband and I did 4 land deals this year, and I believe that if we really apply ourselves next year, one of us can quit our jobs. What should we be doing at the end of the year to prepare for 2025? Love it. You
know, I love reading between the lines here in these questions, and in this case, it's super positive. I think, Lori, what you did for yourself, maybe consciously or not, is tested the concept. You know, you went through a single year. Maybe this is your 3rd or 4th year. We don't know, but you've proven to yourself. Proof of concept. You've proven. We all know buying and selling land is very, very successful, and you can make a ton of money doing it. In fact, for that matter, there's tons of money to be made in all types of real estate. But you two have proved the concept to yourself that you specifically are okay with buying and reselling land and making some money. This is a total logical progression, which is why Jill and I have always said, we've said this for years, it takes a couple of years to really get anything going. And so hopefully this is 2025 is your 2nd year and you're ready to ramp up.
So what should they be doing?
Well, you need, I think you should. Well, you go first.
Okay. I think to be ready for 2025 is get organized. Now you figured it all out. I have 2 things. Get organized and get some funding partners lined up. That's what I would do. And even though it's true, when you find a great deal, people will come out of the woodworks to fund it. Don't worry about that. But it's nice if you can start some of these relationships and calls with people so you can go, look, this is how I roll. This is what we've done. We're looking to find 10 more of those next year. I don't have the funds to close them. Would you be interested? And then you have all these people on speed dial, so it can make it go that much faster.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I would do is a couple of things. The very first thing I would do is sit down with either yourself or your husband, depending on how you guys work together. In our case, I would sit down by myself on a spreadsheet, and I would look at the 4 deals that we did.
In our case, I would not this family meeting. In our case, I wouldn't include Jill. That's what you just said.
It's not a family meeting. It's like, look,
you just said you guys should down a couple. In our case, it's me by myself. Like, hey,
my job in our work relationship is to take a step back and kind of see where we all want it to go, and I'm very comfortable with that. Jill's job is Wednesday. She's going to tell us on Wednesday. Oh. We're talking about
Jill works on Wednesday. That's what I thought. Too. I'm like, what the heck?
Jill has the magic, and she's going to talk about it this Wednesday.
Yeah,
the magic of creating real estate deals where there wasn't one, an hour ago.
Okay.
And both are necessary. So my point is, one of you hopefully is kind of the Jack, and one of you is the Jill in an ideal scenario. So I would step back, look at these 4 deals, and look at what went really well and what you'd like to repeat and what you would like to avoid in the future. Like, wow, we bought this property, we got a great price. We didn't realize from our due diligence was a little bit light. There's some stuff we had to fix, and we resold it and consequently didn't make as much money, or it took too long to sell, or whatever's not, whatever you want to improve on. And make sure that you kind of set new rules or acquisition criteria. A great example would be, we bought a property, one of the 4 properties we bought this year didn't have access. And you will either have had a great outcome because it was so cheap you just resold it to the neighbor, or you will have set, in most cases, we don't buy accessless property anymore because of this. It took too long to sell. We just had to explain a lot to the new buyer and all of that. So assess those 4 deals, positive, negatives. The second thing I would do, and this is imperative, everybody should do this, is take a look at where you would like to be in December of 2025 financially. In our case, I always use $2.5 to $3 million more wealthy. And then from December to November, October, all the way back, 52 weeks in the year, decide what you have to do to get to that point in December. And that's what Jill just said. Decide, get organized. Get yourself Microsoft Outlook so you and your husband or your partners or your employees can all communicate with each other very effectively. In fact, get the Microsoft 365. It will keep you organized from a file structure standpoint, application standpoint, and all of that. And everybody can see what the other person's doing regardless of where they are. And so you get ultra organized. And organization and goals and keeping yourself on track and execution, real simple stuff. This is all life 101 stuff, is what has to happen to ramp up. So I would take we're in the 4th quarter of 24 now. This is a perfect time to ask this question and to do it. We have shorter time episodes now, so we blow through this stuff.
I'm good. That's why my answer was 2 things, and mine was 2s, and yours was 8 minutes, but that's okay.
Today's topic is we're talking about setting your land acquisition criteria and then finding places to send mail based on that criteria.
Can I just interject? So this is the thing, like I said earlier, I just want to hit this home. Man, this is so important. Like you just said to Lori and her husband, like you need to sit down and pick your criteria and think about where you're sending mail. And a lot of that is where the numbers make sense, not what you think you heard, not where you love, not because it's pretty. What's the math telling you? What's your math goal for 2025? And then be realistic. Let's just say, all right, my goal is $1 million. Great. Awesome. If I screw it all up, I make 500. Am I happy with that? Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right.
But I'm going to go at this $1 million. We're both still working full time. So we have to really think about how much time we have to devote, how many deals. You know how long it takes to do deals because you did 4. And if you put your head down, how long it would take to do 40. And then you kind of go, I can't do 40, but I can do 20. Okay, how many is that a month? Great. What do they look like? And then you back into it, all like that. But it just really starts with your financial goal, and then when you go, and Jack's going to explain this more, and you really start looking around the country, looking at the deals that fit those numbers, that's going to tell you where you're going to go and where you're going to send mail.
Yeah, it all starts with that the idyllic deal. So I'm going to buy for $30,000 and sell for $90,000 for whatever reason. I'm very comfortable in this zone. It could be all kinds of reasons. Who knows why? After all goes sideways, I lose 30 grand. So what? That almost never happens. But for people have different motivation for putting together, let's call it an avatar type deal. That's your acquisition criteria. Buy for 30, sell for 90, and I would like to make $1 million this year. Well, wait a second. So I'm making $60,000 a transaction, or 40,000.
I like 50. I was going to say average 50, because then it's an easy number to do math with.
Right.
And then if that could be a good average.
So my acquisition criteria is to make $50,000 on a land deal without spending a ton of time.
How many a month is that?
So I need to complete 2 transactions to make $100 grand, or I need to complete 20 transactions to a month to make $1 million.
Yep. I love that.
Ish. So, I always leave a couple extra months of fluff in there because stuff happens. Holiday seasons happen, kids start school, all kinds of things happen. So I consciously, or maybe subconsciously somewhat, I know it's conscious now, look at the year like it has 10 months, not 12. And I give myself 2 extra months to make up for whatever happened that what I didn't foresee. So now I've got my acquisition criteria. I need to make $50,000 and I need to do, 20 transactions. What's the best way where are there a lot of deals that fit that criteria where I can make $50,000, buy for 30, sell for, 70,
I like 30 for 90. Like, I would go for that. No, seriously.
We're just throwing a lot of numbers out.
I'm just
both of us
that.
are like 30 for 90, 50,000, 200,000.
No, I'm just keeping it real simple. If your goal is to buy for 30-ish, sell for 90-ish, and then you settle, and then the way it all shakes out, you're averaging 50. And then you do 2 a month. I mean, those are really easy math to do. And then if you don't do 2, because if you do 2 a month, great. I made, 1.2 next year, but I didn't go that well. I didn't do all of them. Some did less, some did more. I only made 760,000, that year. I think I'm good with that.
So the first part of this topic is setting your acquisition criteria, and we've done that.
Right.
The second part is finding places to send mail that can fulfill the accomplishment of your acquisition criteria. So I'm not going to send mail to the city of Los Angeles to accomplish those numbers. There's just no deals there. And we have formulated a concept called trolling. It's very similar to fishing. You don't fish for a blue marlin in a lake in upstate Michigan. It's not going to happen. And you're not going to find a transaction that fits that acquisition criteria in a major city, unless you're looking for infill lots in certain cities, but certainly not in Los Angeles. It's just too cheap to find any usable land in that criteria. So you open Zillow or Realtor.com. Zillow is pretty easier to use for this. And you set that acquisition criteria. Where are a lot of properties that are selling at a pretty good pace in the $100,000 range? Why $100,000? Jack, you just said you want to sell it for 70. Buy for 30, sell for 70. So you always want to be lower. You don't want to sell for retail like everybody else. Everybody else who's selling their properties for retail, it takes them too long to sell it. I want mine to be the cheapest. And so I need to buy it even cheaper than what I'm obviously going to sell it for. So I put those criterias into Zillow, and I start trolling around the country and find out maybe southwestern Nevada fits that criteria. Maybe Oklahoma fits that criteria. Maybe North Dakota fits the criteria really well, but properties don't sell as fast. Florida fits that criteria fantastically well. So does North Carolina, but they're on fire right now from a hurricane standpoint,
so
unfortunately.
Sad.
So you need to move around this country, and while you implement your acquisition criteria that's going to result in $1 million a year for you, and test those places that you think could work based on your trolling. And we've implemented, Jill and I, a concept called the red, green, yellow test. And we test each zip code where we think we can send mail to confirm to actually send the mail there. So that's the second part. We don't guess. Mm-mm. We don't just splatter, let's say, Texas with offers and just see what comes back. You can do that, and it will work. It's going to be very inefficient, time-consuming, and very expensive.
Why not just zero in on what you really want? That's the thing. And, you know, and I haven't said this in a while. If you're not a data nut, you may not be in the right place.
Or just find a guy like me.
Yeah. And most people appreciate that when I say, you know, look, this is how we roll. We use data. We double check things. We make sure we're making really smart, strategic decisions backed by data. They're like, oh, well, then I get that. Thank you. Seriously.
If you are used to making life decisions based on feelings, this might not be the best place for you.
Mm-hmm. Need to talk it through for hours and hours?
Says
Maybe not.
Data nuts.
Exactly.
Data nuts and feelings.
Yep.
That's a show for next week.
There we go. That's good.
Join us tomorrow where we discuss the second part of this five-part series, pricing and sending your land mailer. You've got your acquisition down, you've tested several places and zip codes, and you're confident that there is already an existing land market of buying and selling in that criteria you've established. You're ready to send mail. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.
We are Jack and Jill.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you found our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.